probate certified. That's why I wanted to come on and find out,
Hmm.
what I can learn.
Right.
Hi,
Um,
Laura.
so hi, yeah. Welcome on. Um, I think, and this is just my perspective. I'm not Sal is more of the expert and Trina's more of an expert with this process of estate planning. I think what, from a real estate agent perspective, um, there is business in dealing with probate. There's business there. Um, but what I think we're looking at, and this analogy may not be like a perfect analogy. It obviously probably won't be, but um, it's kind of like the reactive medicine versus preventative medicine, you know? So like estate planning hopefully gets people to a place where they don't have to worry about what happens or worry about what happens in probate, or can avoid probate entirely. Although there's a large swath of people that still will go through probate, but the more people we can reach with estate planning, the fewer people have to worry about probate and their state handling the dispersion of their estate. So the estate planning, uh, that's part of the reason we're developing what we're doing here. And you're at the very beginning of this kind of development of a system to incorporate estate planning with real estate, because um, if you're a real estate agent and you're transactional, and then after you close a deal you send them cookie recipes or calendars or whatever, it's not a that's a great way to keep in touch, which is important, but it's not as related to what we do as if we reach out and say, hey, have you considered creating an estate for the biggest asset you've purchased in your life, right? So you're bringing value, and at the same time you're creating a way to keep in touch with your clients on a regular basis through this estate planning and through this information that is more relevant to real estate. And so in doing so, hopefully we can keep them out of probate. Does that all make sense? Did I say that correctly all? Trina?
Gotcha.
Made sense. Perfect sense to me, but yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've had somebody reach out to me who the heirs actually live in Georgia and the property is here in California. And they were going through the probate process. The person living in the house is their uncle. So when they started probate last year and they went through the eviction process to get the uncle out, all of a sudden the uncle files a grant deed saying that the owner of the house, which is their mother, signed this grant deed, signing the property over to him. So
Wow.
mom died in 2013. This grant deed wasn't filed until January 2024. So, yeah. So, all of this leads to probate. It goes together. So what you said makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I still think there's a lot of market, a lot of potential leads in being probate certified, which you are, because there's so many people that don't realize they can avoid probate or should take the steps in advance to avoid probate. So, I think being probate certified is a great thing, because there's majority of people are gonna are gonna need your assistance.
I have a
Like,
question.
yeah.
I don't really understand what being probate certified really means, or what they teach you and allows you to do, and what the purpose is. Can you explain it to me?
Honestly, I think it's just another certification piece of paper, but it depends on who you get your certification from. Because I'm probate certified as well, but it's not like it's a Realtor Association approved certification. I think they do have
No,
one.
it's not. No, it's not Realtor Associated approved. It's just
Which one
you have
go
a certification that you're probate certified. That's all.
through?
So, but what does it mean, and what does it allow a person to do and know about probate?
So you should know the process of when someone is going through probate, the court process, how to file to get started in probate. Maybe you need an attorney, or you can do it pro se, without the attorney. You need to know, a little
And
more about that process,
you
just
could
like if
charge,
somebody was going through foreclosure.
and you
you
can
know.
charge for your services too, from what I understand. You could be a
You,
consultant.
you, you just kind of become the middleman between the person going through probate and maybe the attorney, or fixing, putting them together, just taking some of the stress off of each side of the party.
And that has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with what it is that we're talking about or what we do. Or at least
No,
what
it
I-
does, because those conversations leads to estate planning.
well, that's
Because
true.
if you meet somebody who's going through probate, then now you're going to educate that family on how you can all avoid
Well,
it.
that is true. You could do that for the next person, yes,
Hmm.
right. But you don't need to be probate certified to be able to do that work, which is
No.
educating people to,
Nope.
to avoid probate to begin with. Because
There's
I'm not probate certified, but do you think I know enough about probate? I don't know, maybe I don't.
there's several third party companies. Like I went to a class on probate as it relates to real estate, and this was several years ago, and it's really strange. I just saw an email flyer pop up just recently with the same guy, who set up created a course for probate for real estate agents. um, I think in many ways it's the same thing that we're working on, is the estate planning. We're likely not going to be a NAR designation or anything like that. Although from our perspective, it brings more value. But from those guys that have created the probate classes, I mean, they probably think their course is of more value. It's just
Mhm.
a different perspective. I think it's good to know both. I can't remember anything from the class at this point. I'll be honest with you. um, I think maybe I pushed it aside to absorb this stuff because I feel like this. I mean, I look at it the same way as medicine. When you go to a doctor, they treat your symptoms instead of trying to figure out what caused the symptoms and treat the cause. They
Mhm.
give you pain meds. Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, well, here's some pain meds. Well, why does my knee hurt? That's what I want to find out. I don't want you to just give me medicine. And I feel like probate is kind of the same thing. Um, you know, we're in this situation because we didn't do these things beforehand, and now we're dealing with it. You know, um,
There's a difference. There's a difference. I agree with you that yes, you'll be damaged by the fact that you didn't learn how to avoid probate. Um, and that's what happens, and it affects that family. When you don't put an estate plan together, it's not only affecting you, but it's affecting your longevity, kinship, bloodstream. It is doing that with probate, but it's much more harmful by not having an estate plan together, because it
Right.
affects multiple beneficiaries. It affects many things that are not just directly related to the property. There's more to life than just the property. But the
Mhm.
property is a big part of it. And as you were saying earlier, being able to identify the property and have an accounting of all their property is something that is priceless. And so we're going to build out, a template, which I already have, but we need to, make that part of the process where when they're completing their estate map. Let me go through that with you. When they're completing, for example, their estate map, asset map, as you see here, we have an understanding of what their assets are. We have an understanding of what their banking and investment accounts are. We know about their cars. We have discussions. We know about their mortgages, where it's held, right? We know about their home, and the value of the home. So this is what's called mapping, and this is something that families need to do. So we try to make this very easy for them. This person is already doing a great job building it out. Now, why is this important? for many reasons. Because we'll have an understanding of the properties they have. We can discuss what are they doing with their properties? What are they doing with their assets? What's the purpose of these things? Right? So I can go on and on. But that is part of what's called making sure that you have an inventory of people's properties. And that's what estate planning does. This is the investigative tool, the magnifying glass that has never been available to people in real estate. I found that out immediately when I became a realtor, and I said, okay, well, I'm used to digging into everybody's lives. I'm used to asking them for their tax returns. I'm used to having them come to me with all of their information and feeling free to talk to me about it. But why is real estate, professionals have a difficult time? Well, primarily it's because nobody's ever been trained from the beginning on the correct way to master the art of prospecting deeply within a family or an individual, and left only to talk about substance, which is the property they have today that they need to buy or sell. And I just found that we're missing the boat. So for years, I was on a mission, creating my own coursework live in classrooms at a broker here in Florida, where I would teach prospecting techniques. I want Lowell to talk about quickly. He might have already. We had a very interesting case yesterday. People, curious. Well, how much do they pay for estate plans? And I know Trina and I go back and forth with this. So he had no problem paying $3,250. Didn't he, Lowell?
Not at all.
Okay, well, which means that, shoot, it could have been $5,000, because the work that's going to be involved for him is going to be worth $5,000. And I think he'll start to see what it is that we're doing. So, yes, you could offer an estate plan for $19.95 and up, get compensated on it, have you own them as a client for life and all that great stuff. But more importantly is that they feel really, really good about doing something that they've failed to do. And who is it good for? It's good for them if they're married, not married, if they have property, not property, but they have businesses, or maybe not businesses, but they have assets, they have money. So, or they have children. So we need to think in terms of, okay, how can we get them to the table? How can we present them with a simplified method of getting a conversation started, which we call an interview, and sit down and begin to map out what their strategy is and what it is they want for themselves. Now, yesterday, he did this work without his wife, didn't he? Without his wife. She was sleeping. But we have a new plan. We have a new tool. Trina, you haven't seen it, but you will. I don't know if you saw the video. It's an hour we shared with Lowell. Did you?
No, I started watching it, but I wasn't able to finish it.
That's okay. So do that. We'll share a new technology, which I really love, because the new vendor that we're using, and they're playing hardball. Let me tell you something. They're asking me, how many plans a month am I bringing them? Who are my team players? A whole bunch of stuff. I've asked them to make some changes to accommodate me, and they're saying, no, you're not going to change our model. I said, well, if I start bringing enough work, then maybe you will. He says, we could talk about it. But it does allow, which I think is brilliant, unlimited retitling or deed or trust restatements, not retitling, trust restatements. And we are going to be able to offer deed servicing, deed retitling services. For a very, very low price. And that person could choose to do it directly online themselves through the company that does it, or we could just step in similarly to the way, Trina, you and I do the notary for them. We could just step in and create their deed for them. And get that deed sent back to us and then packaged and then become part of the entire notary process. Is there a question about that process?
No.
No? Okay. So here's a video I'd like everybody to take a look at and then get your opinion on it. Can you hear it okay?
Not
It's-
really. It's kind of choppy.
You can't hear it?
No.
One second. I don't know why you can't hear it. Hold on. Try it again. I played it yesterday. It worked. Lowell.
Yeah.
Yesterday you were on with him, with Steve. When I played that.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear that video yesterday?
Yes.
Strange. Water. That better?
I heard it for just a sec.
Good suggestion.
You have the,
You couldn't hear it?
We couldn't hear you either, Pamela.
Oh, you can't hear me?
We heard just a suggestion and then that was it.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for confirmation that it was okay to
Oh,
speak.
okay. Yeah.
Speak.
When you go to Salvatore, when you go to share screen, click on advanced, and then you share your computer audio. It's one of the buttons in the share screen. You know, behind the share screen button are other buttons, and one of them is share your computer sound.
Brilliant. Let's try it.
Yeah, so go to share screen.
I did it. Let's try it.
Water.
Okay.
We have
There
to
it
have
is.
to sustain life.
Better?
yep.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Now we need the video.
Not me. I
One
One
step
thing at
at
a
a time.
I know I suck. Just the video. Now tell me you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Much
Yeah.
better.
But left uncontrolled, water can cause untold damage.
No good?
We don't have the video. Yeah.
Share your,
We now see another storm.
Hold on. You don't have a video?
You
No.
have to do the same thing for the video. So go to share screen,
Oh my God.
and then you'll see the windows open on your computer and pick the video, and then it'll play.
Glad everybody on here is not as old as us, Sal.
How did I do this? Try now.
Now we have video,
No.
no audio again.
No audio?
no,
Hold on. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, share screen. Now over here, you've got advanced. Advanced computer audio. I clicked it.
Mhm.
Now
Okay,
now
now-
there's a box next to it that says video,
Click
It-
that too.
but you can only click one or the other.
Oh, okay. Click the share screen. I mean, the share sound. Sorry about that.
Computer audio share.
Yes.
Okay, now.
But then go back to your, like, there's another window that shows everything. Do you have more than one window open on your computer?
Probably.
So just go back to that. I like to start where it says share screen. It will show you your desktop and just pick the video and it should play.
So you see my picture, my video.
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Man, it's
Yeah.
not, it's no sound. That's
No
so
No
Audio.
audio.
That is so weird.
So screen, advanced, computer audio, share audio.
Try the other
from-
button. If it says, video, try that and then go back to the video and see what happens.
Share audio from your computer without sharing your screen. That's
No,
what-
that you don't want that because you want to share your screen.
Right. So that's the one that's under advanced. And then the video under advanced is just video, and I could hit share.
Try it. I'm a click until it works kind of user.
Yeah, well, I get that. So share, now it's asking me to find a file. Okay, it's asking me to find a file.
It's on your desktop.
I know. No, I gotta pull it out of a folder. I have to pull it out of a folder.
This is why I always say technology is great when it works.
Well, I don't know. I had no problem yesterday. I didn't do anything different. Well, let's see, desktop. No, that's not where it is. Now I have to find the stupid folder.
Wait, you have it open on your desktop. So yeah, go to your desktop and pick the one that's open, don't you? Don't you have it open already?
No. No, because it's, all right. Pardon. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Okay, so let me look in. Let's try this. You see that?
Yes. So
Water.
far, so good.
We have to
There we
have
go.
it to sustain life. But left uncontrolled, water can cause untold damage. We now see another storm coming, one that few are prepared for. In our history, there's never been a storm like this one. Many look at it as a great phenomenon. We are beginning the greatest generational transfer of wealth in human history. More than $80 trillion will rain down on a new generation, a generation that didn't earn it and are often ill-prepared to receive it. Some refer to this phenomena as easy money, and as such, in many cases, the end result is easy come, easy go. Without proper planning, this windfall of money can cause more damage, drug use, gambling, mindless spending, with little left to grandchildren and future generations. The money a family accumulated during their lifetime can easily be squandered and lost over time. However, this doesn't have to happen to your client's family. Through proper estate planning, the accumulation of money created from a family's generation of hard work can be used to create even greater opportunities for their children and even future generations. So how does this generational transfer of wealth impact you? For one thing, it means the loss of your client. When your client passes away, and by the way, that day will come, you just don't know when, and they pass without a plan in place, this much you can be assured of, and that is, in virtually every instance, their assets move on to their heirs and never return. Estate planning is a game changer. Estate planning in the U.S. is a $180 billion industry. And unlike many of the other areas in the multi-trillion-dollar financial services market, it's one that has yet to see a slew of technology companies come in to try to improve efficiencies. The opportunities for making estate planning an integral part of your business are greater than you can imagine. We help you provide a comprehensive, customized, attorney-drafted estate plan to your clients and build a structure for a better future for your clients and your business. Your clients only have two choices for estate planning. Which plan would you prefer your clients to have? Their own plan? or the state government's plan. Only government and attorneys benefit when estates are left to probate. Court costs and legal fees can add up to thousands and sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars. And that's just one of the negative consequences of the state probate process. There's also the stress, delays, inconvenience, and loss of family privacy. How important is the legacy your clients leave behind? If you aren't sure, ask them. Make sure they understand the fact that their legacy is the final fingerprint they leave for their family to remember them by. Working with a client where there's no estate plan in place means you are leaving money on the table. If that's your choice, you are making a bad decision for them and for yourself.
All right, well, that about says it all. Anybody like to add anything to that? You can't hear me? Gee, what's
Can hear
going
you.
on?
We can hear you.
I can't take this. All right, so, anyway, questions, Trina, anybody, questions?
Who made the video?
It's proprietary, one of the companies that offer the estate planning services.
It's actually very nice. I like it.
Nice, you could pay me $10,000 for it, or you could join our team and have access to it. So people have been asking me, how do I get this? How do I get that? Every once in a while, I throw things out there, checklists. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, Trina's seen part of it and Lowell has, and Lowell's always amazed that, where I've amassed all of this. I guess I've been hoarding it over the last 30 years. But they come in handy. They just come in handy. As subjects come up, I'm able to push it out and get them the answers they need. But it needs to be paid for. I mean, I can't spend all day long responding to people and sending them things, and it serves them no purpose because there's information behind all of it. In other words, great, I could send you, educational content on something, and that person will never read it. And then they'll try to share it with someone, and everybody's wasted their time. The greatest thing we could do is bring people to the table. When is the last time anybody sat down and reviewed what you intend to do with this house you just bought? By the way, every single piece of property needs to have a home. You may have a home, but you really don't have a resting place for your home. That property is just going to be sitting in limbo. Now, why do I say it's going to be sitting in limbo? What does that mean? Anyone?
Because if there's no estate plan, you're headed toward probate.
Mhm.
True and partially not true. Let's see.
Well, there's no disposition for the property. It's just
Right, so
I like
it's
that.
headed, so
No
it's headed,
instructions.
so it's headed, it's in limbo, but they can have it not in a trust, and it will not go through probate if they do things a certain way. What are one of the things they could do that could avoid probate and not establish a revocable living trust?
well, it depends on how they hold title on the deed.
Right.
Right, so they could partner with someone on the deed, right?
Hmm.
In other
Or they
words,
can do a transfer on death deed.
or on some states that do offer, not all states have transfer
Not
on
all
death deeds.
Correct.
There's like 35 or so, 25, 35, you should check that out.
Hmm.
So you could do a transfer on death deed. That probably is a very smart move and could save them a lot of money. But that only affects that property. It does
Right.
not take into consideration anything related to any other asset that still needs to be distributed. Does it not? And
Correct.
because of that, those assets do not have a home, except to go through the court.
Hmm.
And sometimes those assets will amount to more than what the property costs. Now, when you have a deed where somebody, like a friend of mine said, when I bought the house, Sal, that you sold me, remember I put my son on the deed with me to bypass probate. She's a very smart woman, very smart. I said, yeah, I remember that. You did that. She will avoid probate, correct? The son will, correct?
Nope.
For the
And
All right, so
Yeah.
let me run by this. This was a poll question that I put out there. So a person buys property and names their son as a co-deed person with them. In other words, their name is on the deed as well as the buyer. Leaving the mortgage out of it, leaving that out. Okay? She's responsible for the mortgage. Someday he'll be responsible for the mortgage, right? Will that house avoid probate when she dies?
yes,
I guess it would
think
depend
so.
on how they were on title together, whether they were joint tenants or tenants in common, because
Joint
one,
tenants with rights of survivorship.
yes,
okay.
you
Okay,
avoid
yes.
probate. He may not avoid the step up in basis, but
There you go. Who said that? He will not avoid the step up in basis. What is somebody else? What is a step up in basis?
Current price. So this is, I'm glad you asked that because I need to make sure I understand it like I think I do. The step up is whatever the value is, whatever they priced it. When she dies, you'll have an opportunity to pay capital gains tax on the difference in the value if it's gone up.
So you will not have the opportunity to pay capital gains on the difference, because when you receive a step up in basis, such as a spouse, one spouse dies, the other spouse lives, they bought property for 100,000, it's worth 500,000. The surviving spouse receives a stepped up basis to the amount that property is valued at today. So
That
if
term
that,
step up, yeah, you're right.
so if
You're
that
right.
spouse turns around and sells the property, right? All things out of the you're living in it in 2 years and 250,000, leave that out of it. If it was stock, that stock would receive a step up in basis. It's a big enjoyment that's been granted for people to be married. It's built into the code. It's built into the code. So people should know what the benefits are to having a contractual marriage. That's one of them. The second thing is going back to that situation where you have a deed that's got the son's name on it. That son will receive a step up in basis because he is the beneficiary. Now, he won't have protection beyond that. He won't have protection beyond that. In other words, if he gets
Looks like you
into,
froze, Sal.
mhm.
I froze. Can you see me? Hello,
You back?
There you are.
I'm back. Hello.
You're back.
So now he owns the home. His mom died. His mom wanted to make sure that home gets passed through him to his children, her grandchildren, and their grandchildren.
You're frozen again.
Yeah, you seem to have a bad connection today.
Am I back? I'm
You're
back.
back now.
Because I see Trina shift her head. It's like, okay, I'm back. Pamela, I can't tell. She has one still face.
Beautiful face at that.
Yeah, so
Thank you. I'm
so-
smiling.
So if the son inherits the house, now he owns the house. And don't forget, the mother wanted him to maintain that house in his name and through the family tree. But he goes bankrupt. Can they take his house?
Yes.
Potential.
Am I frozen again?
No, you're
Nope.
not. I see you.
If he gets married, contract law will step in and supersede anything else. So now his spouse, unless he figures out how to title it properly away from her, she will now have a problem. Oh, he will have a problem because they may get divorced and that half of that house could go to her. Is that what his mother wanted?
Nope.
Those are just two examples and reasons why it's easier to set up a revocable living trust. It would bypass all of that. It would maintain the ability for the asset to flow within the framework of the family unit. Okay? So that's part of why people should put their assets in a trust.
Mm-hmm.
Besides all of the asset distribution that you could separate who gets what, when, how, and who will be overseeing how that's going to be managed. Can a trustee change the terms of a trust? Can a trustee of a trust change the terms of a trust?
Yes.
Is it their trust? Yes. Yes.
A trustee, if it is the grantor, known as a settlor or a trustee, all interchangeable words, if they are that person who created the trust, they can change the trust. They can change the trust terms, beneficiaries, assets, move it in and out, and much more. Can a co-trustee change any of the terms and conditions in a trust if they're not a marital co-trustee? In other words, option A, you have a marriage by contract, and you have co-trustees, husband and wife. Each one can be granted the right to make changes while they're both alive. Or, as we saw yesterday, we can ask them if they do not want their spouse to manage the trust. Right? Lowell, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He's just saying yes.
No, I do.
And he said, yes, I want us both to be able to manage this trust
Right.
continually when one passes away. That's great. That's what we commonly say. But sometimes a marriage may be a situation where one of them is very ill, right? And maybe we don't really want that person. Now, understand, I'm not speaking as an attorney. I'm just explaining it through real life. If somebody has a spouse who is, whatever, not cognizant, not able to have their mental facility,
Dementia.
dementia,
Something like
we don't
that
know
coming
their
on.
ages, right?
Right.
Stupidity even, right? Stupidity, a heavy drinker, a gambler. We don't know the reasons, right? But we have to throw that out there and say, hey, these are the kind of people that exist in life. Maybe these are the reasons why you should consider. Do any of these apply to you? then maybe you ought to consider, whether this fits you or not. But if it's a co-trustee who's not a spouse, in other words, we have a single person who creates the trust, and they ask their brother to be a co-trustee on that trust, a co-trustee of the trust. Does that co-trustee have the power to make changes on behalf of that trustee who opened and is the grantor of the trust?
I would say no, unless they were given that power specifically.
And you know what? I would say yes, unless they were taking the power away. So this is a good one, okay? Because I don't believe, because it's not contractual between husband and wife, that because somebody's a co-trustee, that they automatically will have power. But I could be wrong. And I think it's a good question to find the answer to.
So, I'm trying to understand because I think I was leaning toward agreeing with you, Sal. But then I heard Trina. So in the when you identify someone, list them as a co-trustee, but they're not husband and wife. That's what makes the difference. They have to have that power explicitly given to them, because if you're husband and wife, it's implicit that, okay, the whole thing, marriage is one, blah, blah, blah.
I would
Is
say
that
it's-
correct?
I would say it's more commonplace for that to be the case.
Ah,
But I would say that that is really something that is between the person or both parties. So yesterday, the question was presented, which something Trina, you and I have not seen.
Right.
So this system is pretty good. So
Mhm.
it did ask if he would want his spouse to maintain control and manage the trust should he predecease her. And he said yes. He could have said no. Now, but as far as not being in a marital situation, you have a co-trustee and I'm not an attorney, right? And believe me, attorneys don't even know this stuff. So they have to look it up. So you have a co-trustee that could help manage the trust with the trustee. Can that main trustee set limits on what that co-trustee is able to do or not do?
I think so.
Hi, Blanca. I think so
Hi.
too. I do think so. Yes, I do think so.
Yes, they have to put it in grading and
Yes.
they have to decide exactly what they're gonna do.
Yes, and give them authorization in certain areas or capacities.
Yes. And they also have to have the power of attorney.
Yes. Now, well, they may not need power of attorney for that. However, we came across a person that's got several LLCs. I'm sorry, 501c3s.
Mhm.
And the question was, she was told that she needs 3 trusts because she has 3 LLCs and she wants them all managed a particular way. Now, don't forget, I'm a financial guy, advisor, right? Money, right? Estate planning stuff. I can't know the answer to everything. Trina knows that. But I fib my way through it pretty good. She says yes. Now,
can I ask a question?
yes,
So there's a scenario I'm aware of. There's a husband and wife with one adult child that would be the successor trustee for the husband and wife. But in the marriage, one spouse is, basically manages everything. Can that successor trust, I mean, can is it still a good idea to make the adult child the successor trustee, or should they be a co-trustee? I mean, this is really interesting.
No, you gotta rephrase that a little bit differently somehow.
Okay, so a married couple has one adult child, and the main spouse that controls, all the finances, let's say, they want to make their son a co-trustee. Is that possible versus
what-
a successor?
Well, what you said a successor trustee, now you're saying co-trustee.
Well, it's really a question. Do they leave them as a successor, or do they make them a co-trustee because the second spouse is not able, it's not that they don't have capacity or whatever, but they
Sure.
haven't taken care of anything all throughout the marriage, so they want the
yes, you
daughter
could-
or
so
the
the
son
answer-
rather.
Yeah, so I think the answer to this is, the question should be, can a successor trustee also be granted the ability to be a co-trustee?
Okay, that simplifies it. Thank you.
Right now, so can that happen? Yeah, that can happen. Yeah. Yes, a successor trustee can also be a co-trustee during the life of the living. When that living party or entity, in this case, when both parties pass away, that becomes now an irrevocable trust. And that successor trustee who was the co-trustee now becomes a successor trustee. So they could be
Oh.
listed as the co-trustee and successor. Now, that's not good enough. So Trina is going to give us an answer as to why having it that way and what could happen if that is the limitation of the way the way the trustees have been set up. So the missing ingredient is, you only told me about the co-trustee, the primary person, both co-trustees, the successor trustee, who will now be a co-trustee, with or without the inappropriate co-trustee, and become a successor trustee upon a springing action of both dying, correct? If there's nothing else listed beyond that person who is a co-trustee who will become the successor trustee,
Oh,
okay? And that co-trustee dies, the smart co-trustee who's alive when the parents are alive, and that co-trustee who's the successor trustee dies, what has to happen?
you need a successor for the successor.
You need a successor for the successor. That's why I said Trina should be able to answer it, because we ran through this with a family and said, listen, we got the fact that you have a successor trustee. Okay, that's great. That's nice. That is a person who ultimately will be responsible to manage. But if that person dies, who's managing your estate?
How
Their
far do you go
spouse.
with that?
The government manages your estate.
But
Because
then you're
there's,
going to probate.
correct, and then you're going back to see the judge again. So
Yeah.
now
Wow.
the answer to Lowell's question is, how far do we keep going? And we had a family that said, that's it. There's nobody else I can think of. I don't really have anybody else. Okay, that's happened. Last night that's happened. And we have to work with him to find new people for him. You see, this is the reason why these plans should be $5,000. Because we need to do the thinking for these people. So yesterday, I have a beneficiary, I have 2 children. but I don't really have a successor trustee. But you have to pick one. Pick Lowell, pick anyone, pick me. You need one. Okay, well, what happens beyond that person? Well, like Blanca said, it's going nowhere because somebody's going to step up somewhere in the family at some future point. Okay, and they're not going to be able to crack the irrevocable trust. It's irrevocable, it cannot be changed. The person died. So there's only going to be two people forever and ever that can make decisions, the living or the judge. That's it. There's nobody else. So if they say, well, I really don't have anyone else, a successor trustee, and I choose a co-successor trustee, and 30 years later, they both die and nobody's been watching this, the estate, a representative of, through the process, is going to have to push this to the court. It's unbelievable. And the court is going to try to make a decision as to what should happen. So how can you remedy, how can you, even if you have no family members that you could name beyond your successor trustee, we know that word is called what? Beyond a successor trustee. That word of a trustee is called a what trustee? I hear the Jeopardy bell.
I
It's
hear it
called-
too.
It's called an ultimate trustee. So the ultimate trustee is that final, when Johnny dies and Mary dies and Betty dies and their grandchildren's die and they were listed, but there's nobody else left. Who is that final point, Lowell? Because you said, when will this stop? It stops with the ultimate beneficiary. That's as far as their mind can go with granting assets to an entity, or I just gave it away, to someone. And so for a person that says, I don't have any place for it to go, I don't really know, maybe I'll find someone, maybe I'll fall in love 10 years from now, right? That can happen. You can put it in your trust and now update your trust. But if that doesn't happen, would you want this money that you're seeing in front of you here? Would you want this money to go to the government so that it's attacked by rats who pull money out on the work and the labor of your life? If you like that, that's fine. Well, I'm dead. I don't care. They can do that. I really don't care. But we have to teach people to care. So if they care and they want to do something good, but there's no people, then leave the ultimate beneficiary or ultimate, as I said, ultimate trustee, but ultimate beneficiary, let it be a charity. Just don't give it to the Boys and Girls Club. No, give it to the Boys and Girls Club. I meant don't give it to the Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts.
Don't give it to them. So you have to give it to a charity that's going to be around, because right now we don't know what will. A church, maybe, but even that. So now we don't even know. Our world is so upside down. We don't even know like what legitimate charities should be receiving anything. Well, that's why.
Universities.
Universities, even then, you must live in California. Even then, I don't know how many people even trust universities.
Right. You could leave it to an adopted child or a,
They have a child. What if they don't have a child, right?
Well, some people also assign their financial advisor sometime to manage.
They can manage. They cannot be a trustee. So financial advisors walk a fine line. I've been asked many times in my career, would I become the trustee for the family? Because they trust me and they know I know what I'm talking about, or whatever they think I did. And I did, but I cannot be a family's trustee. Because I'm too close to, what would you call it? too close to risk. Maybe I wouldn't do anything wrong, but other people that do what I do for a living do wrong things for families when they're
All the
granted too much
time.
power. So, it's not advisable. I would love to have been trustees for some families, But then
I
again,
mean, can you also, to avoid this problem, every few years, you can also like redraft the beneficiaries or the co-trustees?
yeah, so the trust that we do and the work that I do and the work that now I've taken on to do, which stops everything else I do for a living, but I believe in what I do greatly, and I'm learning to believe in it and see it even more, is that these people need to be touched and reviewed twice a year. Twice a year. It's an expectation. This isn't, maybe you'll hear from me again after I sell you the house. Or maybe you'll hear from me after you bought a life insurance policy from me. But this is your life revolves around someone monitoring your life's actions and then letting you know what you should or should not be doing in the form of beneficiary changes, other health issues that are coming up, assets that need to go in or go out. And now we're not talking about anything legal. What we're talking about is, hey, I'm going to be your friend, and I'm going to, for lack of a better word, act as your monitoring representative so that I have control of your trust. I have control of your trust. I know everything about you. I believe that if a person chooses to do business with us, they will do all of their business with us. Now, I think there's some work to do. I think that they will do that if we stay in touch with them along the months and years, and we lay out the expectation. So yesterday I laid out the expectation. So my expectation was, I set the groundwork. Let me see if I can find it. Obviously, it's always a pain in the neck trying to do this. Where is it? In other words, I told him what we're going to do today. And then I told him what we're going to do the next time we meet. And I got him to agree. But I gave him work to do, homework to do. In fact, he asked, what homework do I have? What do I need to be doing? And then I told him what we're going to do when we get together next. So we already booked the second meeting. He's already got his plan, he paid for it. But now our work begins. Now this is the fun part. It's showing him how he could do something to improve his financial well-being. Because if he does not improve his financial well-being, bye-bye pen. Thank you. If he does not improve his financial well-being, what happens is he is jeopardizing his estate plan and his trust. And without me going too far into it, can somebody think about why that would be, that he would be putting his trust and his wishes in jeopardy by not providing himself a more positive financial plan going forward for himself? Sure, I could tell you. Great. The reason is because this plan that he has is filled with assets. Without assets, there is no plan. Now, there is partially. We don't talk about it as much. But an estate plan can have 0 assets. And it could have 100% liabilities. He's got no home, got no money, he's got no spouse, he's got no children. Right? But he has loans. There's student debt. He has credit card debt. He has medical debt. And he may have some other debt. He may have personal debt. He may own a business and be in debt with his business partner. Could that be called part of an estate plan should something happen to him? In other words, I'm just thinking out loud, folks. Could it be that an estate plan would help a person that has no assets and all debt? So if he picked a co-trustee or a successor trustee and that he dies, the successor trustee has now responsibilities to do what?
Pay all the debt.
Pay all the debt. Now, doesn't this debt die with him?
No,
What debt
but it does after a year though, right?
Huh?
It will after a year. No one,
What
because it won't
debt-
through probate.
what, I don't know, what debt dies with you? What debt dies with you?
I don't know.
Credit card debt dies with you. It's unsecured.
Do your medical bills die with you?
I don't know, I'm not dead.
Well,
Again,
I don't
again,
know because
I don't think
Again,
so.
again, you guys want to be smart? I do. Somebody try to find that out. Now, it's not hard to find out. You'll find out. The credit card route I went through with an attorney and a family many, many, many years ago. Generally, if it's personal credit card debt and they're married, it does not swing over to the surviving spouse, generally. However, some credit cards have tried to make that happen. So it's not good to have credit cards in dual names. Okay, it's also not good to have bank accounts in dual names for those reasons. Because if you're married and you have John and Jane on the checking account, and there's $100,000 and you owe $20,000 to a credit card company, and John dies, John's capital asset had $20,000 in his name. That credit card company could come after that money. And that means the wife could be in trouble. By law.
Yeah, we have to go soon too. It's after
Alright.
11
We have an appointment, I guess. All right.
soon.
All right. Hey, it's been
Great
fun.
meeting though.
Yes, this was a good one.
I have no idea if
Yeah.
it's good. All I'm saying is we got to think, because these people, when they speak to us, that's the questions they're asking.
Yeah, you're
All
right.
right. Hey, Blanca, nice talking to you. Nice seeing you.
yes, thank you.
Don't be a stranger.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Bye-bye, Lowell. Thank you.
Okay.